Hi. So we have a special guest on the show today. So we'll just wait until he comes on. Very excited about this. So I hope you've all been well. Just waiting. Okay, so he's here. There we go. There's the option. So I think you have to accept the... Yep, gotcha. So I sent you the request to come on camera. So, and it's adding you. Should be. Might take a bit. So you are in India, so it might take a little bit to come on. Okay. Did that work? I have to accept the request to actually join. So, yeah, there you are. Hi.
Wow.
How are you?
Fine. How difficult.
Yeah, I know. This was crazy. I'm just glad there's no feedback, because when I've tried to do interviews before, there's been a lot of feedback and it's been really annoying, and I ended up not doing the interview because there was too much feedback.
No, that works fine. I can hear you good. That looks a bit strange. And I think I get like
so you can definitely hear and see me clearly.
Let me try to figure something out. I can do that better. Where to actually keep that best? Could tape it here.
Well, that's good. I can actually see you pretty well there. So.
No, what about that?
Yep, that's good. That's good.
That's good, no? Good.
Yeah.
So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Fine, fine.
That's good. Thank you for coming on a live video.
Yeah, it's a bit far, no? From India to Australia.
It is. It is. How many hours behind are you? I think it's 8.
I think so. I think we have now 20:45 in the evening, so quite a bit.
Okay, so you're not that far behind. We're 2:10 in the morning, so
yeah. So how did you land up in Australia? I mean, it's a bit far from India.
Yeah, I was obviously adopted. So so yeah. So were you you're an adoptee as well, aren't you?
Oh no. I'm German proper.
Oh,
look at me. Look at me. Don't I look German?
You have that German tan going on.
Yeah, correct. Actually, I was in Australia, that was the problem. Some 1993, so that's why my English is so messed up.
Yeah. Because you came to Australia.
Yeah, because I came in 1992 or 91, something like that. I came to Australia and I couldn't understand a word. The English is so strange.
Oh, really? Have you ever seen that video, How to Talk Australian on YouTube?
Yeah.
I like that. I wonder if that's the true Indian perspective of Australians.
No, I was actually German at that time, I'd never been to India.
Yeah.
At that time. So I only went to India first time in 1993, so after Australia. Actually, I wanted to go to India, but that didn't work out. So that's why I went to Australia on kind of joining a school there. Because, I had to go to school, remember?
Oh, okay. So how long were you in Australia for?
3 months.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was in some Steiner school, little bit of the outskirts of Sydney, Rudolf Steiner School.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, quite funny. No, it was quite good because actually we only had like 6 weeks school and then there were like 6 weeks holidays. So actually I kind of traveled, I think 3 weeks or yeah,
Yeah.
6 weeks actually I traveled.
Yeah. Do you reckon you'd ever come back to Australia?
Well, I found it very expensive.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I had to travel a lot by bus. I didn't have that much money. I had to actually sleep outside because I could decide to have food or go into a backpacker's hostel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of thought sleeping outside is also fine.
Yeah. Oh wow. So and that was all those years ago.
It was
Wow, and
a
that
bit
would have
like,
been when it was a lot cheaper back then to be in Australia as well.
yeah, but I had like only $10 a day, so that was my budget. So that was
Oh
not
wow.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much does $10 get you in India these days?
It depends.
Yeah.
It
So
really
what
depends.
is
I mean,
life
you
like
can
over
buy
in
one drink, maybe, you buy one cocktail. It's like Australia.
so so what's
Depending
life
on the
like?
place, depending where you go, the prices are very different. I mean, it's like it's very difficult to say what it costs, and I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Okay. So okay. Interesting. Because I'm gonna go over to India maybe not next year, but the year after. So I'm a bit worried about going to India actually, because there's a lot more people in India than there is in Australia. So
yeah, but it's not so bad. Actually, nice.
well,
Like,
so you actually live in India like full time or
I don't know. I landed up here now.
yeah,
I wouldn't really call it living
yeah,
because I essentially only work, and it's not really the kind of life I would like to have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and what do you do in India work wise?
We actually help. I mean, help adoptees with their searches.
Yeah,
That's one thing. And we actually research and document child trafficking for adoption. And actually, we have also litigated, and we are still doing it.
yeah.
And yeah, there may be some more. So,
So
because there's been a
have you
lot of
have you been
scandals.
say that again? Sorry.
There have been a lot of scandals also with relation to Australia. So, we actually
Oh,
brought down treatment year. So,
yeah,
treatment year was for a long time the only supplier for Australia.
yeah,
And then we worked on the cases, or still work on the cases of these, where this girl was kidnapped
yeah,
for adoption and sent to Australia. So we still work on this case.
yeah. Oh, okay.
One
Wow.
one child is in the US, one child is in the Netherlands. We're still trying to help the parents in India as much as possible.
Yeah.
So we have just won a little tiny court case for one of the parents.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. It's not good, but cannot really talk about it now, but I
No,
will
well,
later,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
a few weeks, to make it public.
yeah. So, so what do you do? What do you enjoy most about your work that you do with the adoptees?
Um, I initially enjoyed actually helping adoptees, but
Yeah,
I have to say honestly that at the moment the work became so difficult that I
yeah,
actually find it very difficult to enjoy, even if we find back parents and adoptee reunites, because I pay a too high price for it. So it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
okay. So, and the adoptees are not willing to give. I mean, I understand it, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
essentially we don't have any funding.
yeah,
So when the adoptees expect me to live in a slum, I have €1 a day because I think we can buy so much, like, with $10. But $10 are $10. We can't really do much with it if you want to have a life. And
yeah, yeah,
I don't really draw a salary for myself. So I actually give already a lot. You know, my work
Yeah,
time
yeah.
for free, and then still adoptees think it's too expensive. Then I can say it's very hard work. So
Yeah, yeah.
it does
Well,
cost
I
money.
mean, so what are the chances of finding um an Indian adoptee's birth family in India, like on a scale from 1 to 10, like 10 being really good chances, or is it
Well,
just
you have to say what chances are. You know, in the ideal case, you go to the orphanage, and that's what the adoptees think. That's how it works. You go to the orphanage, they give you the name and the address of the mother, and you go there. So they think basically we should just be tourist guides, and that's not such a difficult work. So
yeah,
that's the idea adoptees have who have never been in India or who have never tried.
yeah.
The
So
fact is,
walk us through. Would you be able to walk us through a little bit of the process of what it's like to do a search for an adoptee in India?
actually, you know, the main problem is that the orphanages are not
Yeah,
cooperative. So
yeah,
most of the adoptees don't even have the name and address of their family. So if you have
yeah,
it, then it's of course rather easy. So, but many of us are born to unmarried mothers, so our original identity has been concealed. Also for quite some good reasons, because there is a social stigma, and the mothers got remarried, and not that I agree to it, but I accept it's like that. So
yeah,
that could
yeah,
be an adoptee standing in front of the door of his or her mother could be a real scandal for the mother. It could have really bad repercussions.
yeah,
So basically, what we do, how I have started is actually, you know, I left my job in 2001 and started to search and build up a network of people, reliable people who could help me. It
yeah,
took me 2 years to find the right people, and then I started litigating. So I filed
yeah,
my own case and fought it through up to the Supreme Court until, you know, partially we won.
yeah,
And we fought other cases too. And on the sideline, I took up other cases. So we could get laws changed in our favor a bit. So at least the right in principle is acknowledged, but there's still a lot to do.
yeah,
So what we do, we take a case in, you know, from an adoptee, and then
yeah,
we actually use the law as it is and help the adoptee. I mean, we do it for the adoptee, navigating the
yeah.
jungle. But
Okay.
for that, you actually need to really know what you do. You need to know
Yeah,
the inside of the authorities, and you need to have the right contacts in the authorities. We actually don't do like the adoptees think that you go to the orphanage and get the information that we do in rare cases. Because most of the orphanages don't want to give.
yeah, yeah,
So we have to apply some powers to get the information, and therefore you need to know who is who in the system. So that we do, and it also takes sometimes really a lot of time.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you have, of course, the problem. We have, of course, the problem that when, I mean, my own case is like the most significant, but it's like also the best to explain. So it took me like 17 years to actually get access to my record.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And from that 17 years, it took me like 7 years of litigation.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it took me another 4 years. It took us another 4 years to convince the orphanage actually to cooperate with us. So when you try to, I mean, we don't have funding, you see, so
Yeah,
everything has to be financed. And of course, you know, my family or my adopted parents and other people actually financed my search. I mean, not because I left my job in 2000. So
yeah, yeah,
I actually paved the way for many adoptees, and I don't want that anybody has to leave his job. So that's why I came up with the Adoptee Solidarity Fund. Because the
yeah,
problem is, of course, for example, my orphanage shares now the information. Now the management changed, yeah, so we have to start again. But
yeah,
the first case is the most difficult.
yeah.
You see,
Of course, because
so,
that would pave the way for a lot of other cases.
so per orphanage, the first adoptee is the most difficult, the most time consuming, and also, of course, costs the most financial resource.
Yeah,
So the second adoptee, John says, for the second adoptee, we may just get the information with one phone call because
yeah,
the orphanage trusts us. But the first adoptee had like put thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands on expenses on that. So that's not fair. So this is why I came up with the Adoptee Solidarity Fund and just made the same price, which is affordable for anybody who can work, for everybody.
Yeah.
But
so how much of the because I'm not sure how much this is true, but I'm under the impression that the Indian government still, because I know they did back then, but I'm not sure about now, still go through, like, there's a lot of bribes going through and stuff like that. So like with the government officials and stuff like that, because I know when my parents were trying to get me over to Australia, they wouldn't sign documents or anything like that until they gave them more money. And then all of a sudden the next day, these documents just appeared because there was more money being given to the government officials. Is that still happening? Like, is there a lot of stuff?
Of course, there's still a lot of corruption, but I also have to say that in my own search, I tried to corrupt people. I, of course, like everybody thinks India is a corrupt country, so you have to try. And that didn't help. I just lost money. So this doesn't work for, quite a lot, because of course I tried. I mean, obviously. So, but that doesn't work. So what we do is actually we work here with Anjali, and she's uncorrupt. So we do it the other way around. We do it about, you call it in English, don't know the word now. I mean, we on honesty and transparency and straightforward.
Yeah.
So we have never, we have never corrupted anybody or not paid any bribes or anything. Like no.
But okay, so
for nothing.
So,
we do it from the other side around. So the government officials actually know that we are straightforward. That doesn't mean they cannot play with us, but it also means that they know they'll be in the dock, because we actually take people to court and take the government to court. So we did it several times. So then we cannot afford also to corrupt anybody. Apart from it, it's completely wrong to do. So it's fine.
Because I mean, obviously, you would have had to have tried and play them at their own game, because I know mum and dad, that was one of the biggest struggles for them, because back in the 80s it was in a couple of tens of thousands where it went on bribes just to get information.
That is okay, and that is why many of the adoptions went wrong, because of the bribes. And of course, when I say I did it myself, that was in the very beginning, where we actually have we adoptees learn that about India, and it's not true. So you find a lot of very genuine people in India, a lot of very genuine people who actually are not willing. They are not willing to participate in corruption, and they actually then they sometimes takes a little bit more efforts, but then it's honest. So that's the way we work actually.
And that's the best way to work. So, but I have one interesting question for you. I don't
now
really,
you're gone?
I haven't asked a male who's in India this yet, but what are the laws with being gay in India? Do you know?
I don't really know, because I really don't know, and I haven't interacted much with gay people in India. So this is only 8 years ago, and from what I read in the newspapers. So I really don't know. Well, I mean, I think that there's a lot of gay people who are actually just married, have a normal family, and you have cruising areas and all that stuff. It all exists, and then of course you have the third gender,
because I believe they just changed one of the laws or something, like one of the things.
The Supreme Court finally did away with it. It's 373, I think. 373 from the Indian Penal Code, which essentially said that anal intercourse is a crime. So under that law, of course, people were haunted by the government and the police and whatever. So I'm kind of very happy they did away with that law. I mean, of course, it's like, I mean, where are we living? And but of course, the next debate is now marriage, you know, and with the marriage, the demand for children. So for surrogacy, you know, because the gay couple, LGBTQ couples want to have children. So that is now being put into the adoption debate, and that is, you know, not only in India, of course, it is like that in the Netherlands or Germany. In Germany now, marriage also has been legalized. So there's a lot. Yeah. So actually, just you know, just before the election. So it's really because the demand for children. I don't mind. But
so
I really
on that though,
don't agree with the demand.
Is there a lot of domestic adoptions in India?
Not so many. I mean, you can go on the Kara website, but there are lots of you know, private adoptions under the Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act who do not go to the official system. And a lot of adoptions, I believe, which are also close to illegal, because once money exchanges hands, it's actually trafficking. But you can't prove it. You see, so a lot of adoptions under the Hindu and Maintenance Act are taking place where adoptive parents just go to a clinic and essentially buy a child.
Well, that makes sense. So because I mean, because you also had something to do with stopping adoptions in Ethiopia, was it? And a few other countries, like you helped with. I believe you said there was a team of you or something that had a lot to do with stopping the adoptions for international adoptions. Is that correct?
No, I don't know exactly what you mean. But
like I can't remember exactly, but there was something that you brought awareness to inter-country adoptions in for and I don't know, like stopped, or not stopped, but made the governments aware about the child trafficking and stuff like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, kind of, you know, because I started with India. So I did not only help adoptees, I started helping the parents, and I started, you know, getting in touch with child rights activists here, and I was taking their work forward. So I kind of started understanding that what I thought adoption is, behind that facade is something different. And then, of course, we brought out the scandals with relation to Australia, which essentially put the Australian-India program on hold. So that was because of us.
I did. I knew that. Something.
So that was actually the first thing we did as ACT, as Against Child Trafficking. We sent like a huge 1,600 pages letter with documents to the Australian government. That's the first thing.
Wow.
And then, of course, I started getting, through the treatment year case, you know, there was a case which came from Austria, not Australia, where the child trafficker, the Australian child trafficker, I mean, the government appointed a representative in Ethiopia, and that guy was arrested. So that guy, what's his name? I forgot. Come back. But it's a prominent Australian guy, representative of the Australian government in Ethiopia, who was arrested.
Oh, okay.
And and with him, and he was arrested due to an adoption which was supposed to go to Austria, or went to Austria.
Yeah.
So he was part of that trafficking gang in Ethiopia. So that's how I got involved in Ethiopia. It started in 2006, following this case up, and you know, there were other people also arrested from the Dutch agency. So it was really big. Everybody got away, and then, you know, I started researching Ethiopian adoptions in 2009 and went into the field and figured out that, you know, what the Dutch agency was saying, that this program is so good and above board, is not true, because we visited all the families. And we published a report about it, Fruits of Ethiopia. And that, you know, that report and caused, or the work, caused the Ethiopian government to look more deeper into it. And then, of course, we took the Danish cases also up, and we also filed 3 court cases, in fact, in Ethiopia, which we fought. So at the end of the day, I think we contribute significantly to the fact that Ethiopian adoption program, Ethiopia actually closed it. It should have been closed much, much earlier by Australia and by Denmark and by Sweden and by Germany and all that. I also uncovered the same thing for Germany, of course, because once you start, the agencies or the receiving countries, they're all getting children from the same orphanage, So it's always the same supplier. Once you have them, and you know how they work, and that spreads out. And it actually should be, this is transnational crime. So these people involved should have been punished. But it is very, very difficult to, also because of corruption, to get cases won in the sending countries. Like, for example, India, the criminal cases are still pending regarding treatment here, or the kidnapped girl, it's still pending on the lowest court, So it can go on for another 20 years. But it should have been Australia or the Netherlands or Germany opening up criminal investigations, taking information from us and reinvestigating it, when everything I researched was reinvestigated by the media. So it's not just me saying. And then the police should have investigated, and then it would have become clear that these agencies in the receiving countries are also not okay. You see? They just continue with impunity. So and it's like, I don't know, it's like, also in Australia, Asia, and whatever they are all called, they, like you just explained it to me. So what you just explained to me is actually transnational crime. Paying bribes in India was not okay.
So
now my phone falls. So this is really serious. This is a really serious thing where I think Australian.
What would be the so to someone who doesn't quite know, what would be the definition and difference between child trafficking and legal adoption?
Wow, that's a difficult question. See, every adoption is legal. Okay. Because I take your case from what you told me. So adoption is legal because it went through an Indian court, correct? Then you were taken into guardianship, correct? Then you were removed from India to Australia, and you were adopted through Australian law. So that's legal. The definition of child trafficking is very complicated. I don't want to go into the legal things, but one element, for example, is if the so-called birth parents get money, then it would be child trafficking. But do we know that? We don't know. So I have to say, though, that the so-called birth parents hardly get money. The other thing is, of course, what makes something child trafficking is when there is exploitation. So many adoptive parents, like yours, you told me earlier, you had actually, I was also treated very well. So, I mean, I only fell out recently with my adoptive parents because of the adoption story, but it's another topic. But the point is that many adoptive parents rather want to parent a child rather good, so not necessarily for exploitation. But one could argue with the exploitation that we actually have to do the work to pretend to be their child while we are not their child. So that would make it trafficking immediately. I mean, there is no real definition, no clear-cut definition when international adoption is trafficking. The United States never considers it trafficking, maybe sale of children. So it's a quagmire. I mean, there's actually a paper on our website which goes into details of that. So it was written by our former intern. It's actually a master thesis. So it's pretty good. What I define as trafficking, I define it much broader, because money exchanges hands, like you said. And like you
Yeah.
said now, since the decisions made in your adoptions were based on bribes, your
Yeah.
adoption is based on illegalities, on criminal activity. So
Yeah.
anything which is based on criminal activity cannot be legal.
No,
So
yeah,
your
that's right.
adoption, yeah, correct. No? So your
Yeah.
adoption was child trafficking.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. 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 Yes. And yeah. I mean, I suppose on the Indian side of it, yes, but on the Australian side, it was legal. And yeah, but
Yeah,
the
it
thing
not,
is,
it
though,
is
with
based,
mine,
it's based on crimes. You see?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
with
And we don't
my,
know.
sorry, really quickly, with my adoption, is it very common because now for an adoption to be legal, um, you have to have both parents consent to give up the child. And on my records, my father was the only one who gave consent. So is it possible that my mother didn't even know that he gave me up? Or what would probably be the most,
I don't know. I don't know.
could be
That
anything?
is what I'm always saying. This is what
Yeah.
we just don't. And this is how I also uncovered this child trafficking by
Yeah.
going into that black box. Where did I come from, and
Yeah.
what actually happened?
Mm.
And once you start talking to the parents, I mean, one common thing I can see, even with Indian families who may have even signed, they never understood what adoption means. So,
Okay.
for consent to be legally valid, it needs to be informed consent.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, that's correct.
So
Yeah.
if there is no informed consent, then the whole thing falls through.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what you are saying, it may well be that there was some. I mean, I have cases where there was some domestic problems.
Yeah.
Men and women actually fight sometimes. Happens, and yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they separate, and somebody gave the child. They
Yeah.
may also not understand that they may also have been asked to sign papers for admission into a boarding school.
Yeah, yeah. That would be under,
Manipulation.
yeah. It'd be
Yeah, you see?
coerced into.
Correct, because there has been a lot of money paid, not only bribes. There has been a lot of money
Yeah.
transfer actions, which I would actually like to know what was paid, because I understood, of course, that your story is connected to the lion story, but that is exactly, I
Yes.
mean, that is exactly the layer, which was left out in the lion film. The lion film showed very well how Sarut sued, kind of, yeah, that government home is horrible. I mean, I agree on that. I know I've heard
Yeah.
it, yeah, from other people. So probably rather well depicted. Also, children sexually abused and all that happening.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But Sarut Sood, who was a private adoption agency, went into that home scouting for a child. So that was also well shown. But what
Yeah.
was not shown was a monetary transaction between Sarut Sood, between the Australian agency, I think it must have been
Yeah.
Asia, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, back then it would have been ASIAC.
yeah, Asiac and
Yeah.
Sarut Sood. So there was a monetary transaction. And that
Yeah.
monetary transaction was not shown in the film. Because if
No.
that would
No.
have been
And that's.
shown, yeah, if that would have been truly shown, the film would have had a different impact and would not have,
Yeah.
because that actually, from there the demand came.
Mm.
That the Indian authorities failed in tracing his mother, that's one thing. They should have done it, and it would have been forcible.
Mm.
But then to take a child out of the country, with a demand from the Australian side and a financial transaction, that actually makes it, for me, classic case of child.
Yeah. And see,
If
the
you add
thing.
now the bribes, which you are saying, then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, and it's funny because in that movie there was quite a few things that they could have shown a little bit more to get because I mean they implied a lot, like the kids getting sexually abused and stuff. And I mean it happened. I was sexually abused as an infant in my orphanage. So,
Yeah.
you know, that happens, and they implied it, but they didn't take it. I mean, not that you would want to see that. I mean, they could only imply something like that, of course. But like you said, the bribes and stuff like that, you know, why wasn't that shown? And why wasn't the realistic side shown from the government side? Like, that was really interesting. But yeah. But I also, that movie, it was interesting that they showed Shrew coming over. Like, they completely skipped Melbourne Airport and just went straight to Tasmania, which was really strange. Maybe they couldn't find extras for the babies. But they went straight to Tasmania. And the thing that I kind of didn't like was they portrayed Shrew to be this perfect child, and then his brother, when they adopted his brother, that would have been very hard for his mum and brother.
Yeah, but he also publicly, I mean, I saw public Facebook postings from him. He was not happy with the film, and also the way he was projected.
Yeah, and yeah, I kind
It's
of
kind of
figured
very
that, because he's gone into hiding, and it's a shame, because he made this movie, and Hollywood virtually just said, well, thanks for your story, we're going to take it over and, you know, reprint your life story with Dev Patel on the front of it and not you, and made it Dev Patel's story.
I really don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened, but I was kind of surprised how the film was used actually to reopen the Australian program. So yeah, so they came, you know, the film made a delegation come to India from Australia, but the delegation met with a couple of people I know, also I get to know who, but they wouldn't meet us, and we have been the primary source and primary reason for the program to be. So they should have met us, and they of course know us, so they know where we are. We have been writing to them, so they should have actually met us, and then the program would not have been reopened for sure, because I would have been able to show that it is not working. The other thing is, I'm very clear, I don't really understand the link between the film and Charu's mother and him and Deborah Lee Furness. So it was very clearly, you know, Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Furness.
So the link there is Adopt Change. So
I know. So there's a link. Of course, I follow Adopt Change very much. So there's a clear link. I've also written to him, and he never replied.
Oh, don't worry. Since the book first came out, because we weren't told that we were going to be in the book or anything. And when we saw the interview on 60 Minutes, and then Mum brought the book and then realized that our photo was in there. And the thing was, they could have just given us a heads up and said, hey, we've put the group photo of all of you babies in this book, and it's going to get released to the world. They could have just said, hey, you know, because that was a very private moment, and they've just, you know, published it to the world. And, you know, so we were kind of annoyed that they didn't even just give us a heads up on that. But I mean, it was good to be a part of that. And by no means is it our story, it's his story. But by putting that photo in the book, he's also included us as well. But I tried to message him as well. I've made several attempts at trying to message him since 2013, and I've just heard nothing. And to be honest, I think that's piss poor, because he has just created this massive movie, and he's gone into hiding and doesn't even want to talk about adoption anymore. And I think that's actually
he talked about adoption, and he has really no clue. I mean, I find it so sad, because the film actually depicts really his desperation to find his family back. So I can relate very much to it, and many other adoptees can do it. I mean, I have to really say, apart from the fact that they left out this one financial transaction between Australia and the Indian agency, I found the film really, really good.
Oh, it was a good movie.
Yeah. So I found it very surprising that this film is being used and also promoted by him and by the minister in India to use that film as argument to restart adoptions from Australia.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be, because the issues that they brought up in the film should be enough reason for them to not sort of.
Yeah, because the issues they brought up is actually quite an issue, because the government homes are still shitty. So it's actually an argument to reform them, make them better. The fact that he could not be traced back to his mother is also, it's a common threat. It's a common problem. So missing children. So there should have been much more work on, for missing children. That would have, instead of opening,
exactly.
missing. And now the government actually, the real policy is that the government pushes so hard for adoption that, I think lots of missing children are just sent abroad. I'm quite sure.
Yeah. Well, that wouldn't surprise me. But it annoys me that he made the movie and he's not out there helping, because he brought up conversation. He brought it out into the open that little bit more, and then all of a sudden he's just gone.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it. I can kind of understand it, because he must have gotten scores of mails and all that. So it's quite annoying. But I'm quite sure that he was kind of really guarded also by Adopt Change. And I think probably Deborah Lee Furness used that movie, found his book and took his story and made it. Yeah.
I mean, look, I respect Deborah. I think I think she's doing a good thing, but I think she's delivering the message in the wrong way.
Deborah?
Yeah, like Adopt Change. Like, I mean, there are a lot of adoptees that hate Adopt Change. And I mean, I wanted to get involved with Adopt Change, but I'm invisible to people like that. And it annoys me, because Sharu should be doing what I'm doing, and talking to people and helping adoptees and stuff like that. But I just think he could be in the position to make a difference, and he chooses not to be, which is very disappointing.
That's the other part of my work. So let's do one thing. I think we have kind of now an introduction about the topic. And of course, I also see that you actually go on the thing and want to educate adoptive parents, so that I also understand you want to help. And
what are your thoughts on that?
No, I want to put that. I mean, I have no problem with adoptive parents, even though they feel often offended by me. But just on Sunday, a podcast came out. It was actually made by a domestic Indian adoptive parent, and I think it's very important that adoptive parents listen, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, you sent that link to me, and I'm going to put it in the group, so thank you.
Yeah, please listen also to it. And when you have listened to the program, I think we can actually just talk between adoptees about children's rights. So maybe we should just wrap up, and we just make a talk about children's rights, and I try to explain you children's rights and the difference between the Hague Adoption Convention and the UN Convention on the Right of the Child, and why I think adoptees should understand the difference.
Okay.
Let's do that for the next time. Cool.
Say that again, sorry?
Then let's do that for the next time.
That sounds good. Cool. That sounds good.
Then let's wrap up for today.
Right, I think awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on camera. It's been awesome talking to you. All right, thank you.
Okay, right. Have a nice night.
I will. You too. Thanks for that.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.